Don't shoot at UFOs. Russia finds that out the hard way in this latest episode from Weaponized with George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell, where George Knapp reveals some really juicy stuff that he learned in his time in Russia after the fall of the Soviet Union, when some information was finally beginning to come out about what the Russians had been doing involving UFOs all these many years. So let's talk about it. Get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, so I've talked a lot on this channel about our war with UFOs, about how we have fired upon UFOs repeatedly over the years in many occasions with many different technologies, from plain old bullets and missiles to energy weapons and other devices, and how they have fired upon us in return, displaced us in space, possibly time, making a craft disappear, U.S. servicemen, pilots vanish in their planes. And, never to be seen again, occasionally to be displaced somewhere else. Some never recovered. And in Italy, there was the well-known case now of the helicopter that was sent out with depleted uranium rounds. They use those for anti-tank ordnance. It was sent, and I assume that's, they had those on hand for that reason, and they weren't specifically made to fire on UFOs, but this helicopter was sent out to possibly shoot at UFOs that were setting fires in Italy. As unlikely as that sounds, there were UFOs setting fires in Italy, and this plane armed with anti-tank ordnance went out there, presumably to take care of business. But instead, the UFOs shot it down with a laser, I believe, or an energy weapon of some sort. It didn't kill anybody, but it did down the helicopter. The Lance Corporal Weigand case in Brazil, when he went to investigate a downed UFO, he was in the Army and his squad was assigned to secure this crash site. He didn't know it was a UFO. And when he got there and found that it was a UFO and actually interacted with a being there, the Air Force showed up and arrested him. Because it was the Air Force's job to secure a UFO crash site. But the upshot of that story is that he saw marks on the UFO. The damage that was done to it that brought it down looked like a missile. So, and there are other examples of that as well, of missiles being fired. There's another one where a U.S. Military pilot, recounts shooting with bullets at a UFO and actually bringing it down, as unlikely as that seems. And, in the day after Roswell, Corso talks about developing an energy weapon to shoot at UFOs. Anyway, so I could go on, but there are some really well-known cases of us firing at UFOs and in return them firing at us. So has that been going on in Russia? Well, apparently it has, according to this new report by George Knapp. So let's hear what he has to say.
General Maltsev had been commander of Russian air defenses for 7 years. I mean, right at the height of the military there. He claimed he was unaware of the study that Sokolov had done, but he was aware of incidents that had happened. I asked him about the order. Did you give an order that says, stand down, don't chase UFOs? He says, yeah, I did.
Wow.
And he's the one that gave me the quote. I did that because they have, quote, incredible capacities for retaliation. Don't shoot them because they'll shoot back. And we know that there were incidents of that in Russia.
Yeah, that's amazing. So he did confirm to you that the Russian government at first was shoot down UFOs. And then when that didn't work and they lost a few pilots, stop.
Leave them alone. He told me a story about, and I did an interview with him on camera for the BBC. And he told me a story about an incident in 1990 over Moscow where there were more than 100 confirmed contacts, radar and sensor contact with UFOs flying around over Moscow, performing incredible maneuvers. They'd appear, you could see them physically, then or not on radar. Then you can see them on radar, but not physically, doing all kinds of weird things, the kind of things that our military has documented as well. And he said that was really the final nail in the coffin. That's when they decided we're not going to shoot these things down anymore. They're not ours. They're not American. They're from somewhere else. That's what he told me.
Boom, there you go. The Russians were firing at UFOs back in the day, and eventually they realized that was a bad idea because the UFOs fire back, just as they did in Italy when the helicopter went out to presumably shoot at the UFOs that were setting fires in Italy. The Russians likewise went out to shoot at UFOs that were violating their airspace, and who knows what else they were doing. We do know that at least upon one occasion, they went to a Russian nuclear facility and actually activated a launch sequence. In the U.S., they disabled our nukes at a nuclear facility, or possibly multiple nuclear facilities. But in Russia, they triggered a launch sequence, a nuclear launch sequence, freaking everybody out. And they only deactivated the sequence at the last minute. So, you know, if I were a Russian and a UFO was trying to shut off my nuclear facility, I might send a UFO after it. Or, excuse me, a military jet armed with fancy technology, the fanciest available technology after that freaking UFO. It doesn't surprise me at all that we would fire at UFOs, or that Russians would fire at UFOs, or that anybody would fire at a UFO. These are objects in our airspace that are violating our airspace and abducting our people. You know, who knows what else they're doing. I don't want to get negative about it. I don't view the phenomenon in a negative light, but we do need to be aware of what is going on and protecting our people. So it's natural to fire these objects if they are doing that. Now, there do seem to be good UFOs and goodly beings that are helping us and assisting us. And I would hope that we are not firing at them. There are beings that are helping the government and working with the government, and I made multiple videos about that. Helping us to develop technology, gifting us technology, training us to fly UFOs or UFO-like vehicles. So presumably we're not firing at the UFOs piloted by that race of being or those races of being. So are we firing at their enemies? Russia may not have had a relationship with the beings, so maybe they were just firing blindly at whatever UFO was there. But the U.S.'s situation is more complicated because we are working with beings. Possibly Russia is too, I don't know. But we are working with beings. According to my research, if your research has taken you down a different avenue, I would love to hear about it. But according to the research I've done, and some of which I've shared on this channel, we are working with the beings, and we are firing presumably at other beings. So has our government chosen the right side? Because the information coming out of the Eisenhower meetings with the beings seemed to indicate that he chose the beings that would help him with technology and weapons. And he didn't want to work with the enlightened beings that wanted to give us more enlightened gifts, but wanted us to disarm our nukes. That is one of the various versions of the story. That is more or less the predominant version that I've heard about Eisenhower's possibly multiple meetings with multiple races over multiple years at different locations, from Edwards to Holloman. But can we trust our government to pick the right side? I don't think so. Judging by the government that I see that has been lying about this these many years and is still full of lies, that is not open and honest with the people and transparent with the people, that keep secrets for their own reasons which we do not know. Can we trust them? I say no. If you reach a different conclusion, I would love to hear it. I don't want to be unpatriotic, but I do think we deserve the truth. We deserve to evolve our relationship with the phenomenon, to understand it and to interact with it in a peaceful and positive way, not to be lied about its mere existence. So, can we trust this government to pick the right race of beings, the most goodly and noble race of beings that are the most benevolent, to ally with? I don't think we can trust the government to make the right decision on that. That's why the people need to be involved in this decision-making process. Because we do seem to be working with some beings against other beings. Are we involved in some sort of cosmic war? Are we pawns in some larger game? That doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound good at all. That is why we, the people, need to be involved in this decision-making process. Our governments may have put us in a situation where we are between major cosmic powers, and we may not have chosen the right side. That does not work for me. So anyway, let me know your thoughts about all this in the comments below. I would love to hear them. If you've enjoyed this video or got something out of it, please give me a big thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. Smash the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. Find me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. I would love to see you guys there. Check out some of my other videos. Until next time, this is Jack with the Cosmic Road, signing out.